Okay, my feelings towards Sienna's eczema when it started was that it was probably not going to be a big deal. I didn't have any experience of eczema or babies, so I didn't know what to expect. But I was fairly blasé, and I didn't really want to accept it that it was a problem, and that's really how I felt about it until it became a bigger problem. We were overwhelmed with the amount of knowledge brought to us by friends, families, doctors. Then you've got the internet and what that can bring, textbooks and also, and it becomes very much a minefield, and you're not sure who to trust. When I met Harley, he struck an immediate chord with me because I've been known to overcomplicate things in the past, but generally I like nature and the simple things to sort themselves out. And Harley was just really telling us that we needed to trust nature, we needed to keep things simple, and he showed us how, without pushing us, which was, in some ways, we wanted to be dictated to because we were so confused, but in other ways we needed to find our own feet and find our own way. My advice on eczema, and I don't feel like I'm very qualified to give advice on eczema, but I would firstly seek out Dr Harley and the information that he has, and be prepared to go back to the drawing board, go back to basics, just try to believe more in nature, because really this is what we're talking about here. It's knowledge, it's a system. His products complement that system because they work very well with nature. But really we're focusing more on the science here, on how the skin heals itself and is in balance. And that's really where you want to start. So through the journey of eczema that we were having with Sienna, there other factors came into play, and it seemed that she was developing hot spots within the folds of her skin, certainly in the neck area and in the legs, and certainly where there were bigger folds of skin. And those hot spots generally just needed cooling down. Dr Harley helped us realise that we needed to cool them down and focus in on cooling them down. He actually asked us to use a cold can in the first instance, which we could use on the larger areas, certainly in the leg folds, maybe under the arms, but we did have problems when she was having these hot spots under the neck, so we moved on to cold water as suggested by Harley, sometimes cold icy water, and just with a flannel under those areas. It really worked well. So we must have tried, I lost count how many creams that we were asked to use and try out on Sienna's skin. A bit like food, I was tending to sort of look at the back of labels, and there were things being said on some of these creams that kind of expressed that they perhaps weren't going to be too helpful with her skin. With Harley also helping us in the background, we understood that these creams weren't going to work. And as I read the book more that Harley had written and understood the science more, it became very clear that actually the creams we were using were generally the problem here. And it's such a momentous moment, because you realise that the science here that was being brought to me by Harley, and the fact these creams were saying that they perhaps weren't so good for the skin, all of a sudden we realised that we needed to get away from these creams because they were just causing a trap. So having realised these creams were the problem, it begged the question, why isn't anyone else telling us about this? I mean, surely the information would be available on the internet. It's not really. There's bits of it, but not the full picture. And that really begged bigger questions as to what's happening in the industry. Why aren't we getting this help, and why is no one else talking about these things? So for me, the worst thing throughout the whole process was I've had little little control and little to do in some respects throughout the pregnancy, where my partner was going through some rough times. Then the birth, which was pretty traumatic at times, and then the sleepless nights afterwards, and then, you know, to boot, we chuck in an aggressive skin condition. I was really left feeling out of control, and I didn't have any control over the situation. So it was a real emotional time for me, because, as I said, I like to try to deal with things at the root cause, and I just couldn't ever get to that root cause. So it did feel like I had no support. Harley helped and gave me back some control by being able to read his material, and being able to check in with him on my understanding on the science and things like that. It really did help, but backwards and forwards with the emails. So that certainly gave me that backboard, that foothold to allow me to feel like I was back in control. So it took us a while to really understand that the control that we seeked over the condition, over the eczema, was really the knowledge that was being shared with us via Harley's books, via his emails. And we had to read into those emails and understand them sometimes, so we could, you know, process it the way our brains wanted to process the information. But that's the key point here, that the knowledge has helped us through this hard time, and it will continue to help us through the future and into the future for anything Sienna may come up against, if anything ever does rear its head again.